Hello and welcome to Geek of All Genres. Today I'm going to talk about some of the current trends in video games and whether or not they can be a good or bad thing. Now some of these trends are not necessarily new, but might have gotten bigger within the past few years. Now we'll start with talking about HD remakes. With the advance in technology and prices coming down on said technology, a lot of people have moved towards using new TVs, monitors, and even tablets that have HD resolution on them. Of course, video game companies want to try and come out with the best looking games there are and release games with stunning visuals to please the eyes of players. To help cash in on this even more, some companies release older games with graphical updates, examples being Final Fantasy X and X-2, and the original Devil May Cry trilogy. Now some people might see this as companies being greedy and just want to milk more money out of games, which might not be far from the truth, but is this really a bad thing? Take a look at it from this point of view. People want remakes with better graphics. The perfect example of this is Final Fantasy VII. Even well more than a decade, close to 2 decades now since its original release, it still remains one of the most popular in the series and people are still asking for a remake of it, some going as far as making their own. A lot of people miss the way older games played, not liking how some newer ones are, or wanting to go back to that feeling the older games gave them. This could be the feeling of nostalgia, or they just prefer the mechanics of it. It's kind of like taking your old car and turning it into a showroom piece. Bionic Commando, the side-scrolling version, not the poor 3D reboot, being such a case. So if people want this, why not give it to them? If people are willing to pay money for a classic with just a fancy new coat of paint on it, shouldn't companies oblige them? Isn't it good business to give your customers what they want to spend money on? This trend is something I can actually get behind and support, and would like to see more old school games get a facelift. Next, we'll touch on early access. This is a more recent trend that I started to see more of, companies giving access to a game before it's finished. Now in theory, this isn't a bad idea, building high for your game and showing off features as they are implemented. Here's the issue I have with this. They want you to pay for early access, sometimes full retail value. Now I can get that perhaps some companies need a little extra funding for a game to put in features that they want, but shouldn't that have been taken into account when they originally came up with a budget for the game? Now they want to throw something out as fast as possible, make money on it before it's even finished, and on top of that, they're getting people to test their games out for them and paying the company to do that. Now if it was something released that was really near full completion and maybe only lacked a couple of features they wanted to add in, I guess I could see that as being viable, but some games are released as an incomplete mess, which will only end up hurting them in the long run, as people who won't want to come back and play it when the first impression they get is god-awful. And my personal fears on this? What if I pay for this early access and the game ends up being cancelled? Well, now I just paid full price for a game that's never coming out, and more than likely, I'm out that money. Some people may support companies this way, but I prefer to wait until a game is finished before I spend my hard-earned money on it. Personally, I can live without this trend. To me, it's like I'm paying for a partially cooked meal and told to go ahead and enjoy. And I'm not going to pay a company to test their product for them. And next up, two trends that intertwine with each other, free-to-play and microtransactions. These aren't exactly new trends, but have definitely gotten bigger over time, and are most popular in the MMO genre and lots of mobile games. When MMOs first arrived on the scene, and with some of the bigger ones out there like Ultima Online, EverQuest, and World of Warcraft, they used to require a monthly subscription on top of purchasing the game. Nowadays, not many require that anymore. The biggest I can still think of is World of Warcraft and Final Fantasies 11 and 14. Most MMOs have decided to go with a free-to-play model, which allows a person to download the game for free and purchase extras in the game for real money via microtransactions in the cash shop or purchase points that are used in the cash shop. The free-to-play model, like most ways of doing anything, have its good and bad points, and those who do it well, and those who don't. A good way is the transactions being used for more cosmetic things like outfits or skins for your characters, which a lot of people will spend money on. A poor way to do this is forcing a person to spend cash on things that make your character superior to all others, or as that's called, pay-to-win games, or in features that should be standard no matter what. Now I'm looking at you, Star Wars. But this is a rant I'll save for another video. Some of the good reasoning behind the model is that companies can get their games out to more people, some who might not be able to afford a monthly subscription, and bring in more players. In a genre as competitive as MMOs, the more players the better. Now a person might ask, how can they make any money like this? Well, that's where the microtransactions come into play. But genre geek, microtransactions are just small amounts of money, unlike a monthly subscription. Well, take a look at it like this. When a game asks for a monthly subscription fee, it's generally around $15 a month or about $180 a year. A person seeing this could think to themselves, "There's another bill I have to pay every month. I hate bills." Or $15 a month could buy me some extra food to live on. Microtransactions, on the other hand, are generally $2 to $5, some going higher. Or you purchase cards for points in ranges of like $10 or $25, and those points can get you a few extras in the game. A person is more likely to spend that $2 to $5, or even buy the points knowing they don't have to. It's not a bill, it's spending on something fun. And certainly $2 is easier on the wallet than $15. This is where some people fall into a trap. The less a person spends, the less they think about it. So a $2 purchase will slip your mind easily, while a $15 purchase you might hesitate and have to think about. Before you know it, you've spent over $200 in a few months on a game that would have cost less than $200 for a year's subscription. Yes, this is from personal experience. I know better now and watch carefully what I spend on a game. So as you can see, if you pull in a lot of players with a free-to-play model, they might potentially spend more money on a game of microtransactions than they would have with a subscription, thus making the company more money faster. Another example of microtransactions is paid DLC. Again, if it's a good thing, all depends on how it's handled. This is a topic that's been discussed by many people for a long time, so I'll keep it short. If the DLC is something adding to an already good and complete game and isn't too expensive, I don't see the problem with it. But when it's additional content that should have been there in the beginning on an unfinished game that was rushed out the door, or the price is almost as much as a full game, then it's stupid and the company is just being greedy, and crap like that needs to stop. So in all, are microtransactions as free-to-play a bad trend? Not really, especially if they're done right. But if you see they're trying to be greedy, money-grubbing bastards, don't buy into it and let those companies know that you won't stand for it.
You win.
So these are some of the bigger trends I see in gaming today. If there's some you think I've missed or would like mentioned, leave a comment below, and don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Remember, you don't need to be an expert or die-hard fan to be a geek, so find what's fun and enjoy.